economy saw more jobs added last month than expected. The monthly employment report shows the U.S. added 187,000 jobs in August. The Labor Bureau says employment continues to trend up in healthcare, hospitality, construction, and social assistance. Hundreds of U.S. troops will remain at the southern border for another month. The Defense Department said Thursday that up to 400 active duty military personnel will continue their deployment through September 30th. The soldiers have been at the border since May, when 1,500 troops were deployed for 90 days to help contain a surge in illegal border crossings. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is rejecting talks about removing the district attorney prosecuting former President Trump.
Up to this point, I have not seen any evidence that D.A. Willis's actions or lack thereof warrant action by the Prosecuting Attorney Oversight Commission.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Daniel Clark. For today, it's sunny with a high near 99. Tonight, patchy fog after 2 a.m. Otherwise, it's partly cloudy with a low around 67. For Friday, patchy fog before 8 a.m. It's mostly sunny with a high near 88. Friday night is partly cloudy with a low around 65. I'm Daniel Clark, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM, Riverside 106.5 FM, Redlands and the Legacy 1050 AM, Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Was your car involved in an accident or just need help with dents? All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers, in business for over 30 years. Their highly trained staff and certified technicians and friendly staff are the best in the business and treat each car as if it was their own. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are family-owned and offer state-of-the-art equipment and tools to ensure optimum results. They use the latest technology in computerized color matching and specialize in frame repairs. With their modern laser measuring systems, they're OEM certified, and they have 4 locations to serve you. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers offer rental car assistance with free drop-off and pickup services too, and their work has a lifetime guarantee. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are in Norco, Eastvale, Moreno Valley, and in Fontana. Call them at 1-800-61-MAGIC. That's 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Auto Body says, drive carefully.
The first thing you're going to have to learn is that until you stop expecting our politicians or anyone else to change your life isn't going to change. The only person going to change your life is you, but you need to know how.
Want to learn how? Meet Del Wamsley's Lifestyles Unlimited team and get your map to retirement in 5 years or less. Saturday and Sunday, October 21st and 22nd, Hyatt Centric Mountain View. Go to GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential. Register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Are you underpaid and overworked? Is a living wage and employee benefits like affordable health care more of a dream than a reality for you and your family? If so, it's time to form a union. Don't be denied the wages and benefits you deserve. Come together in a union with the power of numbers. A union is not a privilege, it's your right, and it will make a difference. Contact Teamsters Local 1932, a powerful and successful labor union in San Bernardino, by visiting Teamsters1932.org/organize to start today.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau de Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can be truly miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. See it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome You're tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, a morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, the station that leaves no listener behind, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker. You name it, I am there. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words. No Kanye talk at all. And I am so grateful that I am on show 1011, which means it's over that 1,000 mark. I think back to, gosh, when I first started, I was at UBN, United Broadcasting Network, with Tony Sweet. And then about 2 years in, I was invited to join the NBC News Radio KCAA family. And wow, 591 consecutive weeks later, I am still here. And I'm sort of feeling that Labor Day vibe. There, it was a lot of, but it definitely is a labor of love. And thank you so much for continuing to support me in this endeavor. Those of you who have been show sponsors are, thank you so much. And if you would like to be a show sponsor of a show that definitely has some staying power, then just hit me up at drmarissa.life or message me. Pretty much you can get me everywhere. Doc Balance on Instagram and Dr. Marissa everywhere else. And I'm happy to say that, I was actually given the honorable moniker Asian Oprah. Someone asked me actually at I was talking to a banker resolving an opportunity for improvement. And he said, how did you get the name Asian Oprah? And people assume that I just call myself that, but the real reason is it actually goes back to 2012, and I was the recipient. I was the recipient of the Asian Heritage Award. I think it was the Asian Heritage or Asian Entrepreneur. Either one is great, but I was brought on stage, and they put this, big fanfare, was beautiful, that said, Dr. Marissa, Asian Oprah. And I looked at it and I went, oh my God, that's like super big shoes. I think Susan was the one who named me that. She was the marketing director at the time, Susan Toshiro. And gosh, I'm horrible with names. I'm surprised I remember that. But she calls me the Asian Oprah. So this was back in 2012. But I did not feel very confident or sure, and was, very much still in my Asian, Chinese, the nail that stands up is hammered down mode. So even though I was on camera, I always felt a little bit of shame around, standing out. I know it's hard to believe that now, but back then it was just, you just don't stand out. You don't say what's on your mind. You don't say, who you are, or brag or toot your own horn. So to be called the Asian Oprah was like, way too big shoes for me to fill. So that's 2012. So I didn't do anything with the nicely given moniker. And then about 4 or 5 years after that, I believe, I don't know exactly the timing, but Oprah, who is a very good friend of my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, who's, you'll remember him from The Secret, a teacher from there, and he founded a great trans-denominational spiritual center called Agape. And she came to Agape, and he had been calling me Asian Oprah. Again, I didn't, run with that or anything, but when Oprah was there, he actually brought her to me and introduced me and said, this is the Asian Oprah. And she smiled, she looked down at my pants, looked back up at me, and said, nice pants. And I was like, I wanted to say, do you want them? But I kept my mouth shut and just said, thank you. And so from that point on, I didn't fight it. And I thought, well, she knows, she's okay with it. And it is an honor to actually feel and be called that honorable moniker. And that's how I am known as the Asian Oprah. And guess what? After all, and you see her now, my beautiful co-host. It is time. It's Friday for Tempting Conversations with Dr. Marissa and
Elon Carter. Good morning. Coffee.
Good morning. See? So glad to have you here. And this is kind of funny, not funny, but our guest was super early. I've never had a guest so professional. He called me and said, I'm in the studio, and it was 8:45. So normally tech check is 5 minutes before, but the problem is now he's having issues getting in. So apparently he can hear us. So I'm going to be doing a little troubleshooting as we do breakfast with Dr. Marissa.
Does he hit the mute button? Does he see there's a mute button?
No, he's when he came in studio, it says camera and mic not connected. So for whatever reason, his connection is not working. So I'm going to go ahead and call him again. I was waiting for you to come on. So you can introduce him.
I was up super early this morning. I actually had to get up at 7 o'clock, even though
wow. So I have him on the phone now. Hi. We still don't see you. Alon is in studio.
Okay.
So did you hit can you hear us?
Yeah, I see myself. It seems to be working.
You see yourself.
I mean, with, my name is there and it says, talent agent, and audio is on, everything.
Well, you're not.
It's working.
Does it say you're backstage?
Does it say you're backstage?
Yes.
Okay, so somehow you are not on the same link that we are. So maybe I made a mistake. So I am going to. Okay, so I am going to. I may have. Did you do the link from the one that I sent you on email?
Just resend it.
Oh, maybe I sent you the wrong one on text. I don't know, but let me do one more. Okay. Did you see me say?
Fill it out again. All that stuff.
Yeah, because we don't see you. Let me go and see what studio you're in. I think that I may have. Let's see. Okay. No, I gave you the right link.
I see it too.
I gave you the right link, so that's good. I'm glad I did that. Because I just entered my own studio again.
Just go out, Pierre, and come right back.
Did you hear that, Pierre? Go out and come back in, because for some reason.
Okay, let me do that.
All right, thank you. And we'll do breakfast as you are doing that. Alon, breakfast with Dr. Marissa and
Elon Carter. Good morning.
Good morning. It is our gratitude sandwich. We're going to do 8 specific things that we are grateful for this morning. I am grateful for troubleshooting. And and my when shift happens, I say I can't wait to see what good comes out of this.
I'm grateful for my daughter getting off to school today. I'm gonna do 2. I'm grateful that you came to the show. I'm gonna do 3. I'm grateful that we got the troubadour, and I'm grateful that Pierre, he was not going to hear this, is going to be on our show soon because he's made a lot of things happen for Trace Austin. That's my 4 gratitudes.
Wow. You're just on top of it. All right. I got to catch up. Grateful for the gym downstairs, grateful for stretchy pants, and grateful stretchy pants with I'll show you. Look, I don't know if you can see these.
Are they the ones I see the bottom of your feet. That's what I see.
Do you see it?
Yes, those look like they could be cute, but most women wear the Lululemons because they like the way their butt looks. Everyone says that. I don't have, but that's like the thing. There he is. Super
Yay!
Agent Pierre. This is
How we doing?
Agent Pierre, and he is the mayor of Beverly Hills. He's been.
I'm not the mayor of Beverly Hills. Julian Gold is the mayor of Beverly Hills, spreading out this thing all over the news. I'm the mayor of Beverly Hills.
I love to say that because he likes to stay there. So if you want
No,
to
I
see,
love Beverly Hills. It's my favorite city in the whole world.
you see the Hollywood superpower, you go to Beverly Hills.
What?
I said, if we see the super agent and you go to Beverly Hills and you're going to find Pierre. Pierre is going to be there.
Yes, absolutely.
You're welcome. We're so happy to see you.
I'm happy to be there with you guys.
And so, Pierre, I want to
So
say.
early in the morning.
I know. I'm going to let you do your story, but I am going to say this. You had the most interesting story, how you came to Hollywood, where you're from, and before I even get into the super agent part, like that alone is a story in itself that will take up the whole hour. So I just want to welcome everybody because he's got a phenomenal story that I'm going to let him tell.
Do you want me to tell that whole story now?
Well, yeah, you can just break it down the way you want.
Well, yeah. What can I say that could be aired is really what it is.
I know.
Well, no, because it's why don't you ask me questions and we'll go with that.
Okay. Sure. Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Canada. I'm French Canadian, kind of Montreal, Quebec area. And, you know, I'll tell you this. I was very sick as a kid from 18 months on, and I had a kidney disease and all that stuff. But anyway, I grew up in a hospital, which completely immersed me into television. So because I was attached to the bed, so I was watching it all the time. And that's basically how I grew up until I was 9. And after that, moving here seemed the right thing to do because that's all I knew. And when I went out, it didn't look as it did on television. So I moved here when I was about 15, 16, and took a bus by myself from Montreal and came here.
No, 15, 16 on your own?
Yes.
But the story gets more interesting than that because not only like everyone pursues this dream in Hollywood, and some good stories, some bad stories. But the fact that you were so savvy, I don't know, watching television those first 9 years, really, you were savvy than most people. When you told me that, I said, I wouldn't have been that savvy at 15 years old to know what to do to get me to the next step. So I want you to tell that part.
So you want to hear that story. Okay. So I got here in Hollywood, actually, was the first place I was. It was a little scary. And I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I never had a drink. So I wasn't fitting because it was the mid-'80s, punkers, crazy looking people, entertaining, but still crazy. And I didn't want to do a runaway shelter or anything like that. So what I did, the Hollywood Reporter and Variety came out every day at the time. So they had obituaries at the end. And I remember my godfather dying like the year before, and all these people at the funeral that I didn't even know. So I said, let me go to funerals. Funerals are free. And so I would do my research, and a lot of them I knew anyway from watching TV and all this stuff. So if a director or writer, anybody died, I would go to the funeral and I would cry. And I was cute, you know, I was French. So the family would invite me for dinner and the whole thing. And I did that for quite a while. And I made some really good friends. Gene Kelly's daughter turned 18. I went to a birthday party. Fred Astaire's cook got me a little hotel in Beverly Hills. And I became friends early on, even from there and other things with Dean Martin's grandson, Jason Gordon Thomas, who's Danny Thomas's grandson. He's still my friend today. just some really cool people that helped me along the way. And I made connections. And after that, my first big job was at the Olympics, because the Olympics were here in 1984. And you guys may know this, but the Olympics, the official language is French. So they need French interpreters for the games. And I got that job. And even though I was a little younger, I got in anyway, and they gave me weightlifting, and I did that. And there's another story to that, but I don't want to tell it unless you want to hear it.
Yes, about your mom.
You want to hear that?
Yes.
Okay, so I got my job at the Olympics, and the event they gave me was weightlifting. I know nothing about weightlifting, but I did the press conference, translated everything, and weightlifters are not very verbal. So just to give you an example, there was a press conference, a French Canadian got the bronze medal, and they asked him, "What's your day like? What do you do?" He says, "Well, I get up early in the morning, I eat, and I sleep." That's all he said. So he said it in French, "Me lève, je mange, puis je m'en vais." In English, I translated, "I get up really early. I have a huge breakfast. Protein's important. I try to eat as much as I can. Then I relax for 15 minutes. I go to the gym. I start with smaller weights. And I build up, and I build up, and I build up. I go home. I have lunch. Huge lunch. Lunch's important. Lots of protein. Then I go to the gym. I do really heavy stuff. And I lift, and I lift. And then I do it to like 5-6 hours. Then I go home. I have light dinner. I sleep for 9 hours, and I start all over again." So anyway, he had the longest article in the Los Angeles Times the next day. And the only thing he said those 3 words, his mom came up to me and said, "This is so great. We didn't know he did all this. He never talks to us." So basically, and I had a lot of fun. There was another French interpreter that was there. He was a professor at USC, and he was a little boring. So they didn't use him too much. But anyway, the last day of the game, I got my last paycheck at the Coliseum and all this stuff. And, they gave you a bronze medal. It was really nice. But there was a party going on. So I didn't want to go home. So I snuck in with Norway. And I started coming out and dancing because everybody's having a good time. And camera was on me. My parents are watching the Olympics. And the commentator, I guess in Canada, said, "Oh, there's a happy young man from Norway." My mom goes, "He's not from Norway." And my dad's like, "What is he doing at the Olympics? He was never good at any sports." So anyway, they saw me and they knew I was okay. So that gives you an idea what my first year here was.
I'm rarely speechless, but I definitely am so delighted that Alon made you tell those stories, because it does a better job than the bio that I got, which is great, very accomplished, the things we're going to talk about, the books you've written, Doris Day, etc. But wow, to as a 15, 16-year-old to come to a country, not just a city, but a country, on your own. I'm guessing that things were not that great at home, which is why you left.
Well,
And
I would say things weren't that great. I was just very ambitious, and I wanted to come here. And that's all I knew in my head.
That's amazing.
Background. He didn't come from background where he was struggling at all. That's the interesting part. So that's
yeah. I mean, I didn't have any money. I had $60. My parents never really wanted to help me because you're there. We didn't want you there. And so you're going to have to struggle and make it on your own, which I kind of did. So that turned out okay. But yeah, so that was and also I didn't have a green card. And I will say this about the green card. Ronald Reagan put in a law, an amnesty law, which they don't want to do right now. So everybody became legal that was in the 80s. And the first green card cost $75. And I'm very grateful for Ronald Reagan for making that happen. And I wish they did it again with so many people that are here, that are just here, they want to work, So, and they're here anyway. But anyway, let's not get into politics. Ronald Reagan did a great job. That's what I wanted to say.
Pierre,
people here come here that immigrate here want to work because they like the lifestyle, they like America. Americans were lazy. So I I really have a problem with people having such a issue. I'm trying to be clean language with issues with people that come here and go, oh, it's taking our rights. We're the lazy ones. They're the ones doing all the work. Not saying you, Pierre, but I'm saying people here to pursue work and try to get into the lifestyle of the American dream. And as American, I experienced that when I lived in London. There was a lot of immigrants in London, and the people complained, and the British people were lazy. And I was like, look, everybody's working. Let everybody be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pierre, did you know I was born in Canada as well? I don't know if we talked about that.
Well,
And
Canada to you.
yes, Kitchener-Waterloo. And I also came over and had to get a green card. So I actually was hired at John Robert Powers Modeling Schools and Agency. And Fred had to show that there was no one else qualified and do that whole P1 status. So I know exactly. I did not get amnesty. So I had to go through the process.
Yeah, I got you. No, it's difficult. And the thing is, we're not going to solve it on this show. So let's hope that everything works out well for those people.
Talk about, you've written these phenomenal books, and you're an agent, and you've got great clients. And before you get into that, because we may run out of time, because you have such an interesting story.
I don't know if they're okay books. They're not phenomenal books.
But you still wrote a book, right?
I wrote books, yes.
20 years, and I haven't finished it. I've got it halfway done. I just haven't finished it. It's just sitting there, and I need to do it, right? Because
I was never going to write a book. I got a publisher first, and I'd written a few articles. And once the publisher said okay, then I wrote the book. Because writing to write, if it never comes out, I don't have that kind of time or effort or energy to do that.
Well,
so tell us about your books.
Getting the opportunity. I want to ask him one thing. Getting the books and getting the publisher is the issue for me.
Yes,
that's why I haven't finished it, because that's the opportunity I need.
And I can help you with that. We'll talk about that later, right after the show.
See,
in the green room, we'll talk about that.
I want to say before we move on, because I didn't get to say this, Trace Austin, Pierre represents Trace.
He was an amazing client. Amazing, so talented.
Thank you. And we became friends. He's more like how you're like a family. He's like my brother.
We're family. Absolutely.
So, but you have to tell them how you met me and the first day you met me and how hilarious it was. And you took my son on instinct because you never saw anything he did. And I was like, look, my son's talented. Just need to take him.
Okay. So just to put it in perspective, I get phone calls, hundreds of emails every week. And, actors, people want to join the agency. And I get those all the time. So this nice lady calls me, and she was recommended actually by one of my also lovely client from Star Wars. Yeah. And so she goes, I'm calling you and all that stuff. And she goes, I hear you're a really good agent. I have a son. He's done a few things, this and that. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Okay, that's great. So, and I was really busy that day, and it was midday, and I was seeing Elton John that night. He was doing something at the Academy. So I said, well, okay, let's kind of do it this week, maybe tomorrow. So no. We can't go tomorrow. It's going to rain. I'm like, okay, it's going to rain. I guess you'll have to come today. So they all came today. And then we met, and Trace was terrific, and so was Alon. I had a great meeting. They dropped me off at Elton John, which was really funny.
I love Elton John. I didn't even know he was going to see Elton John. And it did rain the next day, really hard.
It did really hard. Big drops. So anyway, we met, and it was just like instant chemistry. Sometimes, when you meet people, well, it doesn't happen that often, but it happened, and it's been a great ride ever since.
So I wanted to tell awesome.
And Trace auditions all the time, even in strike time. He just did a nice audition for General Hospital. We'll cross our fingers on that. And hopefully something will happen.
That's awesome.
I'm very great. I have to say, I am very grateful here
Oh, well, thanks.
Yes, I remember when she met you, and after when you started doing stuff for Trace, she was so happy. She was so happy. So it was kind of funny because when we met, we didn't really, we had met a couple times, in passing at events, but he was so funny at that red carpet opening thing, and he just sat down and started, cracking joke after joke, and it was just like,
I mean, it was a weird place. It was an art event, and they're trying to sell art so they can have air conditioning in the building. I'm like, what? It was so hot. It was ridiculous. And there's no air conditioning, but if they sell a painting, they'll have air conditioning. Like, what?
110, because I ended up meeting you guys late, and I got up there, and I was like, oh my God, I know what you're saying.
Oh, it's crazy. It was terrible.
By
It
that
looked good
time,
in the pictures, though.
yes, and then I got a sound bite with him, and it was, part of the family. I call it family because Alana and I had that same connection on the red carpet. Trace was to blame for that as well. So it's really great when you meet very interesting, and I had no idea how interesting you are now. So let's going to funerals to make connections. I don't know. Yes, on purpose is definitely a new strategy for me. I'm going to have to think about that. But the fact that you are so connected now with some of the Hollywood greats, I think is a fabulous insight that you get to share that not a lot of people have. So going to your books, you did one on Doris Day.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that.
I should do this way. That's the book on Doris Day. There you go.
Oh, hold it. Let me see that. The cover. Beautiful. Doris Day Companion.
Yeah, so I did 3 actually on Doris Day. Doris Day is my ultimate favorite singer, actress of all time. I fell in love with her when I was a kid in the hospital. She always made me feel good, her music and her movies. And then I got to know her. I met her at the Golden Globes. I actually went to her house for dinner. She gave me a dog. And it started this relationship. So I started doing a lot of documentaries. As a matter of fact, I just did Autopsy, The Last Hours of Doris Day that just aired, and a few documentaries for different networks. And I love Doris Day. She is inspiring. She was an amazing lady. It's kind of a halo around her. So it's kind of an angel kind of a thing. So yeah, I really love Doris Day, and to get to know her was even better, and to do these books. And she wanted to participate. She did interviews, and that's really what that came about.
That's so beautiful. I had a similar with Dawn Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island. Yeah, I got to go to her house and play poker. And it's so wonderful getting to know people who are in the limelight. They're just still beautiful people, though, most of them. And I'm excited to read that actually, because I was also influenced when I was in Canada by her.
Yeah, and the new book that came out, posted the wrong side. It's Irene Sue. She's one of our clients, so I did interviews for this book. Irene Sue's career is amazing. She was, one of the first Asian actors to work constantly throughout the 60s. Flower Drum Song was her first movie, and after that, it never stopped. She did every show you can possibly think of, worked with Henry Fonda, Elvis, Doris Day, Richard Harris, John Wayne. She really, and dated Sinatra for 3 years. And we have actual letters from Sinatra in the book, drawings and things he said. And it's a great, fun book. And also Irene just received, it was a few years ago, she's in a film called Over the Moon, which is on Netflix. And that was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe.
That is so cool. I get in trouble saying this, but what flavor of Asian is she?
She's Chinese.
Chinese?
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Asian pride.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Is she still alive?
Absolutely. She's a very busy client for us. She just had a big audition yesterday. No, she's great. She's terrific, and yeah, love Irene. She's great, and it's funny because when I was a kid, I loved. Oh, she would love to do your show. She would be great on it. And you know, I fell in love when I was a kid with a movie called Caprice that Doris Day was in, and she was a co-star on that film. I always loved her. So to have her with part of the agency was terrific.
That's
Yeah,
so
she's
awesome.
great.
I have to say, like during the strike, everyone's kind of on downtime and really complaining, and we're staying really busy. Like we find one thing about Pierre, he finds other things and other ways to make things happen and manifest to bring work in. I mean, like we did the music stuff with Trace, and even with his other clients, they're all doing other stuff. So, and that's the great thing, you know, not too many, and I was in the industry when I was younger. And I'm just saying, from talent, a lot of agents will just sit by and just wait for something to happen and for something to come through casting. And not Pierre. Pierre's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And we're staying busy constantly. And I said to Trace, I go, that's rare to have someone who has the ethics of the old school. And that shows that that's where you come from. That's your background. And I recognize that Trace doesn't understand that because the kids do it different. They just go online.
Well, you know, I'll say this about Trace, because he's so appreciative and he understands, and he's really, he's such a good person that he gets it. You know, and that's just because of his upbringing and the way he is. And you guys are just very decent, and it's easy to work with people that understand the industry. They know what to do. There's no question. Yes, I'm doing this. I'm going to do that. They'll follow advice. I have some of my actors that are a little resistant.
I tell Trace, I said, listen, he calls me Joe Jackson.
Okay.
We did the audition, right? I was like,
Okay.
not a lot, right? So I hear him talking to you. You're like, oh, it's good. I go, scratch it. We're doing it. He said, it's good. I heard the tone in your voice.
Yeah.
Said, we're redoing that because
I mean, it wasn't bad, but he definitely took it to a different level.
Right. And I knew that. And I said, just from being in the industry, I could read the thank you for coming in. Yeah, that's good. I know all of the lingo, right? So for him, I'm like, listen, you can always do better. And don't ever be offended because you only get one shot, right? We want you to do good. And that's what you have to understand. Everybody wants you to do good. So if you're available or the right type, you can get the show. Don't ever warm up. Don't ever walk in a room warmed up. You know what I do? I have this long hallway, right here.
Yeah, and he's a solid actor. He learns his line. He's in character. He simmers it. He thinks about it. That's what you want, for a client to be.
I make him. I didn't mean to talk to you. I make him run up and down my hallway. He goes up and down the hallway, and I go, okay, now go.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, Pierre, the one thing I definitely. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's one little secret I was going to tell him. So when you want to do something, say Pierre, say Trace, run down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I first met Pierre, I only knew him as a talent agent. And in preparing for this show, talent agent is almost like the smallest part of things that you do. You've been nominated for a Grammy on an album that you produced, The Christmas That Almost Wasn't, that almost wasn't.
So
documentaries as well, music videos as well. So I mean,
for the album was nominated, which is terrific. John Lithgow was our star. And then it was done, within a year. We worked at Transcontinental, produced Innocent, Take 5. Billy Crawford was our hero. Billy Crawford became very famous for the Pokemon theme song. Now he won Dancing with the Stars in France this year. He's super popular in the Philippines. He's like fantastic. So he was our hero for that. And it was a good album. And Ogden Nash wrote it. And what's interesting is that we did not win the Grammy, but we got a stamp. which is like, so we went to Washington, D.C., big ceremony. So they gave Ogden Nash a stamp, and he's the first poet to ever get a stamp. And he's very famous for a line that says, candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
Ah, I've heard that. I've heard that.
So he was a great poet, the first American poet to get a stamp. And he wrote The Christmas That Almost Wasn't. It's beautiful. And Leif Garrett was our villain. We had Trina McGee Davis, who was terrific. She was from a show called Boy Meets World. And her name now is Trina McGee. And we had some great people on it. It was cool.
That's great. And you've also worked with Mickey.
We had Renee Samar also from Canada. I don't know if you remember Renee Samar. So, yeah.
Mickey Rooney, Shirley Jones. All of this was very surprising to me because I just know you as Trace, my honorary nephew, as his agent. But the breadth that you have now, what is your life motto? Like, what keeps you doing all the things that you do?
You know, I think Doris Day has a lot to do with that because it's always being positive and moving forward. You know, things happen in life, like Doris Day said, que sera, sera. And, you know, you just have to go with it. And if something bad happens, there's another door that opens. It sounds a little corny, but it really is being happy, positive. And honestly, I think not drinking, doing drugs or smoking, it's just your head, I don't know, you're just more positive. Because I think people that do that, and I know everybody drinks and smoking is perfectly fine, but they go through these mood changes and it changes them a little bit. Because I have a lot of actors, trust me, it's a thing. But we deal with it, you know, it's just, but for me personally, it does not work. I don't want to do that.
Changes the energy. And I always say to Trace, it's like, listen, I grew up around it. Because I grew up in entertainment, I was exposed to drugs, right?
Yeah, it's everywhere. And it's okay. I'm not saying, you know, people want to do it. Whatever, it's fine. For me, it doesn't work.
For me, me personally, I'm not an advocate. I don't condone it. I'm totally against drugs. Because I've seen it destroy, like, the Temptation. There's been 37 members. And I also have to say, out of 37 members for the 60 years they've been around, at least 35 to 36 of them are dead, right? Most of them, majority drugs, or even when they got sick, it was because of drugs. And then people that I was around, that, you know, I remember when I was coming up, I was called Kobe Bryant because I wouldn't participate, because I wouldn't do drugs. So it wouldn't take me out of character. And you know my personality, people think, oh, she's a model, she doesn't really know. I'm really observant and I pay attention. And when things don't feel right, I leave, right? I go, it's time. The room is getting a little too hot. That's what I'm trying to teach Trace. You have to be able to go and navigate and know when to pull out, because you're going to be exposed to it. But if you drink or you do drugs, you're not going to be all the way there, and your sense of your senses will be kind of altered, right? That's the reason why people do it, so they can put you in a position that they want. You have to know how to get out of it, but still be kind. You don't have to offend anyone. It's just not for you. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I literally just started having a cocktail in the last 5 years because when I have one drink, it's a mojito, and I don't even like the taste of alcohol. So I don't drink. I don't like champagne, wine, none of that stuff. But I wouldn't drink for so many years because I don't like the taste of it. Plus, I saw what it did to you, and I like to shop. So if I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to come home with a new outfit, or I like cars. I'm going to have a new car. I'm not spending my money on drugs to get addicted to act crazy because I want a new car and I want clothes.
I'll tell you a little funny.
Hold on one second. I haven't done a station ID. I'm supposed to.
Oh, let's do a station ID for heaven's sakes. This is NBC.
If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who's in my studio today, obviously very shy people who have nothing to say. This is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube TV channel, where if you now hook into us, you can chat and ask questions of my guests. This is our special series called Tempting Conversations with Dr. Marissa and
Elon Carter,
who is the daughter of the founder of The Temptations, Otis Williams, who I got to have a little moment with again. It was wonderful seeing him. He came to support Trace at the legendary Troubadour. That was last week. It was an amazing show. Go to Alon's social. She's got all great clips there. I have to balance mine out with other things, but I do have some clips of him performing. He's wonderful. And Trace's success, uh, 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 of course, his politeness and his character is from Alon, great mom. But his success right now is in the hands of this great talent agent who is in studio with us today, Pierre Patrick, incroyable mais vrai. He's from French Canada, and y'all know I'm also from Canada. And he's been telling us about all the things that he does, including the representation from Trace and also other people. Now, what would you say to those people who want to get into Hollywood? You definitely have the experience and the expertise. What do people need to do, think, remember, and not do? So, this is advice for anyone uh, from someone on the inside, someone who's been doing this for a long time. What are things that help and hurt people who want to break into Hollywood?
I think if you want to do this, it has to be something that's within you, something that you're committed to. I think when you're a kid, you're going to be an actor. And then there's obstacles like crazy. It's the most competitive business in the world. I work with a lot of celebrities like Mickey Rooney and Ernest Borgnine and tons of stars that never really took classes. And I know classes are huge and they're very important. And I always tell my actors to watch a movie called Giant because James Dean was such a well-trained actor. And you can tell in the movie that he is so precise with the hat, the movement, the way he smokes, the way he sits. Everything he does, every time he's on screen, he's just very calculated and prepared. And you've got Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor, who never took a class, who drive the movie. They're natural, they're real. You see them from 20 years old until they're in their 70s. And it's very interesting to see that kind of difference in acting of a trained actor and some people that are just naturally gifted. And I try to go with the naturally gifted route. I like that, although I do have some great clients, graduated from USC, UCLA. Loyola Marymount has a great acting program. We had a kid there, Peter Lindell, who just did the movie The Descendants 4. It's coming out soon. So there's some good schools and everything, but I think you need to have it within yourself.
I believe that. I personally think, even when I started out, I booked a lot of stuff without acting. Without classes. I happened to be at the right place at the right time, how I ended up getting an agent. And then when I started classes, I found that I was too hard. I overanalyzed situations. I got in my head, and I really think it took away the natural ability where I was just like, oh, just go and throw it away and just do it and put myself in that situation. And no matter how many classes you have, and I tell Trace this, the best experience is to be on the set. We just did that mini short film a couple months ago, and this is someone that I helped raise who's a very seasoned actor, and he was teaching him some technicalities. And this kid is so talented. He did a movie with Gregory Hines, and he played a kid with Tourette's at 14. No acting classes. It's phenomenal. I don't know why it didn't win an award. And just getting on the set and knowing where to stand and still trying to be able to make it look natural. He was teaching Trace all that. And he said, these are things that you cannot learn in an acting class and will throw you off because you'll learn all these techniques. And then when you actually get on the set, none of that stuff applies. And it really helped Trace. I'll coach him. But I said to him, the best class is going to be when you get on that set and work.
Absolutely. I have an actor, Maximilian Acevedo, who took classes and teachers said he wasn't good and anything. We signed him, and literally he had so much instinct and so much determination within himself, and booked the first week. And within the first few months, he booked his first movie on Netflix with Jenny Ortega. And, and things just snowball. He's in Welcome to Chippendales. I got 5 Emmy nominations. He recorded a song for Thump Records. I mean, he's doing things and without really that kind of training. And that proves that, if it's in you, it's in you.
And also too, I love the story that Maximilian, he wanted to be the best dancer, and on Chippendales, he wasn't supposed to be a great dancer, but he was like, they're gonna make me look bad. I'm gonna be a good dancer.
Yeah, basically. And he got this job as a dancer. So they auditioned dancer from all over America. The fact that he even got it and he never considered himself a dancer, then he got real good. The choreographer was like, no, look, do not practice. I don't want you anywhere because you're getting fired in the second episode. You can't. And he practiced like crazy. He was not going to be bad on the show.
Yes,
I thought that was really funny.
He was supposed to be on here, but he got a gig, and so you can't argue.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they're shooting something at Equinox right now. So, those things always. But you'll be there eventually. Yeah.
Pulling him up right now.
Cool.
And what I love is his story, the story that he tells. What you sent me in the bio, he did not have a privileged background. He did come through the School of Hard Knocks and has done a lot of work personally to get to the place he is. So I look forward to having him on when he's not working.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a good thing though. When you work, you got to take it when you can get it and run with it. When we were going over the scene with soap, I was on Days of Our Lives, one of those soaps back in the
General
day.
Hospital.
No, I did
General
Days
Hospital.
Oh, I did Days of Our Lives. Me.
Oh, you did Days of Our Lives. Okay.
So I was actually showing Trace how the soap is so different because it's more about aesthetics and eye contact, and it's not like it's so much as acting if you're like doing a movie, right? That's like soap opera acting is different, and there's really not anyone on the set. I see. Oh, okay, there you go. I say there's really not a director. You're kind of like just, which was shocking to me. You're just thrown out there, and you know your lines, and you're directing yourself. It's totally different experience. And I was trying to show him how to just what to expect and how it's different because it's a different kind of style of acting. And I said, you're going to get this and then we're going to you'll see for yourself. That makes sense.
Absolutely. No, really. It's let's hope it works. It's so competitive. You've got 3 million actors in LA, almost 200,000 members of the Screen Actors Guild. They're all competing. I feel very blessed whenever we get auditions because I know there's so many people out there trying. It's very tough to do this. I have so much compassion for our actors. I think actors are very fragile people. They really need to be taken care of. And that's what we do as agents,
It's a nurturing thing. And there are ups and downs and there's highs. And then when it hits low, it has to be someone who's understanding and compassionate as an agent, because it's not an attack against you as an agent. It's because it's hard to handle for some people, right? When the go does get low, you are really high and anything can happen.
You want to hear a funny agent story?
Yeah.
Please.
Do we have time? Okay. So I had an actor that booked, I think it was Superstore on NBC, and then another show at the same time, and the booking was on the same day. So, and it just happened. So basically, how do you do 2 shows on the same day when you're booked the same amount of hours? So he did Superstore in the morning, but he had to come back after lunch. And then the other show that he was doing, luckily was all in Burbank. So I was in his dressing room trying to coordinate all that. And it was time for him to come back on the set. He was on the other set, so I was in the dressing room pretending to be him. So they knocked on the door. It goes, okay, we're ready for you. I can't come out now. I'm so sick. I think I got food, but I'll be okay. So they're like, oh my God, should we send the nurse? But no, I'm fine. So every 15 minutes, they kept knocking on the door and knocking on the, I'm feeling better. I'm almost coming out. And then, so basically I saved like 2-3 hours almost of being like pretending to be sick from the door, knocking, saying no nurse. So finally he gets in. And he was just like, okay, so you're all good? Just run on set. I forgot to tell him that I was pretending for him to be sick because we were rushing and everything. So he gets on set and goes, oh, you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. It was like, I texted him. Remember, tell him you're sick. It's like, now you tell me.
Oh, my God.
But for like 2.5 hours, I was in the dressing room going, oh, my God, I can't come out. I'm so sick. So then we were able to do both shows on the same day.
This is super agent because he's so savvy. I wouldn't have thought to do that. I would have been like freaking out. So that's such a good story. That's a new one I haven't even heard. I love it.
There you go.
I have these girls that I'm friends with. They're playmates actually, and they're twins. And they look identical. Like literally, I can't tell them apart. Like one wears their hair in the middle, one wears it on the side. And then when they would double book, that's what they would do. The other would show up. And
that's great.
So it was the best for them because they worked. These girls worked all the time, but they both were getting paid.
So, that's terrific. That's great.
So future projects, we're coming up. We have 2 minutes. I'm
okay.
Going to give you the last word.
We're on strike and everything, but I want to end with a little story because we talked about the drug thing at the very beginning. One time I was sitting in Dorsey's kitchen and we were talking about Elvis and Judy Garland and all these people that Marilyn Monroe that were doing drugs and partying all the time and this and that. And I asked Doris, how come, Doris, you never did that? You're like of that generation, you did the exact same thing and they were partying all the time doing all this stuff. She said to me, she goes, Pierre, I didn't have time. She goes, I only had Sundays off. I had to learn the script for the week. And then I had to record 6 new songs from Columbia. So I didn't have time to go any parties or do anything. I just had to work. So basically, I like that kind of commitment that work comes first and the crew is waiting for you. People are there and you're really putting all yourself into it. And that's where drugs, drinking, and doing all this stuff, even though it's supposed to help you, sometimes it really doesn't.
Absolutely. No, and that is it. We are going to have to say goodbye, but a bientôt, because we will definitely have him back. We just touched the surface, I know, and all the things and all the people that you are now supporting. I have so many other questions, but it'll have to wait till you get back. Alon, final word?
Thank you, Pierre. We enjoy. I knew it was going to be a fantastic show.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for having me, you guys. We love NBC.
Yes. If you do this with me now, I close every show with it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best no labor weekend ever. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.